France had fallen. The majority of their fleets lay at the French North African base of Oran. The mission of the British Royal Navy: keep the French fleet from Nazi hands. Mission accomplished. The Royal Navy had reluctantly crippled the French fleet. Thus, a prelude to a long and grueling struggle, one that would eventually alter the course of the war in Europe: the Battle of North Africa.
The United States Army presents The Big Picture, an official report produced for the armed forces and the American people.
It is September the 13th, 1940. 3 months previously, on June the 10th, Italy had joined her Axis ally Germany in war against the British. Upon war's outbreak in Poland in 1939, Italy had declared itself non-belligerent, had played a waiting game. But Hitler's war machine had moved fast. Mussolini had no alternative now. British forces surprised them at Sidi Barrani on December the 9th. The Italians had dallied there. Mussolini had threatened Graziani with loss of command if they didn't move on into Egypt. Now too late. The weakened British position on March the 24th. He continued to advance, the British continued to withdraw. On April the 1st, the Germans moved into Benghazi. Rommel had seized the initiative. He proved a formidable foe who commanded respect even though serving in the enemy cause. His strategy in using the awesome Mark III and Mark IV tanks, which outranged the British in firepower, was amazingly skillful. The British were forced to stabilize their forces farther to the east. The British had been pushed back into Egypt, but the retreat was not complete. One Australian division remained in Tobruk, a constant threat to Rommel's flank. Nazi propagandist Lord Haw called them the Rats of Tobruk. The term became an endearing one. The efforts to dislodge them cost Rommel time and strength. The war in North Africa teetered back and forth. On May the 26th, 1942, the German offensive was launched in full force. Said Rommel, "To every man of us, Tobruk was a symbol of British resistance, and we were now going to finish it for good." June the 30th. The Axis forces came to the El Alamein line. Alexandria was 65 miles away. The Germans had won a great victory at Tobruk and were moving rapidly. It was at this time that General Auchinleck received a distinguished visitor from England. Mr. Churchill stayed for 5 days. Other new arrivals remained. The war in North Africa teetered back and forth. On May the 26th, 1942, the German offensive was launched in full force. Said Rommel, "To every man of us, Tobruk was a symbol of British resistance, and we were now going to finish it for good." June the 30th. The Axis forces came to the El Alamein line. Alexandria was 65 miles away. The Germans had won a great victory at Tobruk and were moving rapidly. It was at this time that General Auchinleck received a distinguished visitor from England. Mr. Churchill stayed for 5 days. Other new arrivals remained permanently. They were General Sir Harold R.L.G. Alexander, who replaced General Auchinleck as commander of the Middle East, and General Sir Bernard L. Montgomery, who took over General Rich's 8th Army. Your prime and main duty will be to take or destroy at the earliest opportunity the German and Italian army commanded by Field Marshal Rommel, together with all its supplies and establishments in Egypt and Libya. Signed, Winston Churchill. Roosevelt ordered every spare Sherman tank shipped to North Africa. Both sides were girding for what obviously was to be a decisive battle. It was to be the turning point in the Desert War. That was certain. All prayed that it should turn in their favor. The plan itself was simple. Blow a hole in the German positions, send in strong armor, and keep widening the gap. A still desert night. The Battle of El Alamein begins. Axis reserve strength had concentrated in the north. An advanced position called Kidney Ridge was counterattacked 5 times in a single day by the 15th Panzers, but held out. October the 29th. After bitter fighting, the 9th Australian Division advanced due north across the coast road to a strong point known as Thompson's Post. There they stayed, while the enemy was hit by the RAF. Gradually, the enemy was drawn to the north. It was the moment General Montgomery had been waiting for.
The plan, invasion. The objective, rout the Axis powers from North Africa. The invasion was to be made hundreds of miles west of El Alamein at 3 points: Casablanca, Oran, Algiers.